The squeeze.
No! Got a bit too confident there, didn't I? Yo, what's up guys, welcome to the channel, and today I'm back again for another sim racing video at Race Lounge once again with the Direct Drive sim rigs. So today I'm going to be doing a qualifying session and a race around Belgium with Peter. So it's just me and him, and this one in F1 cars, which is a bit different from last time obviously, as you know. So with qualifying it was a bit of a struggle really, because this was kind of practice slash qualifying. As you can see, I actually spun in the background here, and as you can hear in the background voice, oops, I found it kind of funny. So yeah, nevertheless, so we move on to the next lap, where again I kind of messed this one up. I was just trying to get used to the handling of the car. It was a lot different to the F4 cars that we tried before, so I just had to try and find the grip and try and find good gear switches out of the corners and just see what we can do with it really. Through a Rouge, you really got to watch out there. Keep it in 7th gear. Really, you only want to flip up to 8th about now, just before you flip open the DRS zone, down the Kemmel Straight. You've really got to watch out just after the Kemmel Straight, because obviously it's the chicane section of the right left hand. It's very difficult to get on the brakes on this one, and you really want to try and avoid locking the rears. Luckily, we managed to avoid locking up, which is very nice. Now down to the next corner, which is the hairpin section where I spun last time. This time I managed to make it around pretty decently. I nearly lost the back end just on the exit, as you can see here, but just avoided it. And now we will move on to the next lap, where I actually get a massive lock up into the final chicane section, but just managed to make it around there, just keeping it on the track limits. But now we will move on to my final lap in qualifying, which was actually my fastest lap, as we start the lap now, run down towards turn 1. Sadly, I broke quite early into that one. I could have broken a lot later. If I kept the revs a bit higher, I probably could have got a much better exit as well. The gear change in third was perfect, but sadly just messed up on the exit with not keeping the revs up. Now up through Eau Rouge, take it very nice. We flipped up to 8th a bit early there, which actually probably helped out a little bit better with the exit. But now we'll flip open the DRS down the Kemmel Straight, where we will hit the max revs hopefully on 8th gear just before we stamp on the brakes down towards the chicane section, where you really got to be careful that you don't lock the brakes up. Luckily we managed to avoid doing that as we head down through the sweeping right hander. Now down towards the hairpin section, you really got to watch out. Obviously I have already spun here once, so hopefully we can avoid doing it again, as we managed to get a very nice exit, clean exit out of there through no name corner. We went a little bit wide there, which wasn't ideal, but we used as much of the exit as possible without invalidating. Through here we keep it in 7th gear and actually don't even lift off, we just keep it flat through there. We might flip up to 8th here just before the next chicane section, flip down to 4th gear there and try and keep it in 4th. It seems like the car seemed alright through there. In 4th, flip up to 5th just on the exit. And now this next corner is very difficult with the motion censored seat and wheel. You really have to watch out. Obviously last time I didn't have a movable seat, but this one it was moving around everywhere, so it was a little more tricky and I kind of had to get used to it. But nevertheless, it didn't take me too long to get used to the movable seat. It was mainly the car that I just had to get used to as we head down towards the final bus stop chicane for the final time. Flip it down to 2nd gear. We avoid a lockup just, and we're taking it much better than what we did when we locked up, as we get a pretty decent exit, flip the DRS open, keep it straight to the line, and that was my qualifying session over then. Here we go for the race then, at Belgium, in F1 cars, a 1v1 against Peter, and it is lights out, and away we go here. I get a very good start off the line compared to Peter, and I actually make myself up into P1 just before turn 1. He breaks a lot later than me. He gets a tiny bit of a lockup though, and he gets a very good exit nevertheless, but I get a pretty decent exit as well, and I'll get some slipstream all the way through Eau Rouge up towards the Kemmel Straight. I am going to back off through Eau Rouge because there's no chance I'm going side by side through Eau Rouge. But next we have the Kemmel Straight. I'm going to use a bit of slipstream here, tuck it to the outside and try and go right around the outside of Peter. I had a much better exit out of Eau Rouge than him, so maybe I could try around the outside. Let's see if I can make a move just before the corner. Looks like we're going to have to outbrake Peter around the outside, now down the inside, and we've made the move stick on him up to P1. It's going to be very difficult to keep Peter behind me though, as he is definitely more suited for these cars compared to me. but he's going to struggle to get past me through this middle sector because Belgium is just not a very good place to overtake through the middle sector. We go massively wide through No Name corner there, but nevertheless I managed to keep it just ahead of him. Peter said on the headset that, you know, track limits and exceeding them, but I just said, oh, never mind, don't worry, it's not too much anyway because he's still right behind me. But nevertheless, I've got to try and keep it clean through this middle sector and try and gain some time really so I can, you know, pull away before the Camel Straight. But it's looking like at the moment Peter's just fighting through that dirty air and managing to keep right on my tail. You could definitely tell Peter's a lot quicker than me, so it's going to be very difficult for me to hold him up. And all the way down here he's going to get massive slipstream where you can easily send it down the inside into the bus stop chicane. So I'm probably going to go a bit defensive here. I'm going to go a bit wider through the kink section, hog the inside line so Peter has to go the long way around the bus stop chicane. I'm going to brake super late, actually lock up there and go into Peter just a little bit as he's still down the inside, pushes his way through a little bit, and now I'll let you listen to the conversation between me and him.
Just push your way through, why don't you? Sure, whatever you say.
So throughout the rest of the race we kind of just played follow the leader. We just kind of followed each other. Sometimes I would get a bit closer, sometimes he would pull away a little bit, but the gap stayed around about the same until we cut to the final lap of the race where I get quite close to him just coming through a rouge. Obviously we have the massive Camel Straight next where I will get a DRS because I am close enough, so I'll get a bit of slipstream as well. Flip the DRS open now, run down the Camel Straight, go around the outside. Let's see if I can outbrake him. It looks like he's just going to be down my inside for this next corner. I outbrake him very nicely, just squeeze him around the outside there, make a move stick very nicely on the final lap of the race. The problem is though, is Peter's usually quicker than me in sector 2, so I really need to try and defend well here. As he tries down the inside there, I'm going to have to try and leave him the space, try and go wide as possible, try and not lose the back end. He gets back around me through No Name corner. I try and keep it as best as possible, try and get a bit of slipstream coming up to this sweeping left-hander. You've really got to watch out that you can go wide here. I do go a little bit wide, so I do back off just a little bit so I don't gain an advantage. And I'm just got a slot behind him now. Hopefully I can get him into the bus stop chicane. That's probably the next best overtaking opportunity as we got to try and keep as close to him as possible. Come to this next corner. I've actually nailed it very nicely, but Peter gets a very good exit as well. Obviously keep it flat through this next right-handed corner. Now keep it flat all the way up until the bus stop chicane. We're going to get a bit of slipstream, but I think Peter might just be too far away from me to make a move down the inside into the final chicane, which is a bit of a shame. But nevertheless, I'm going to try and brake as lit as possible anyway. Brake lit as possible into the bus stop chicane, flip it down to gear 2. But sadly, I think Peter's got this one in the bag. And we come around the final corner, Peter takes a win. And sadly, I take P2. But yeah, that was our experience at Race Lounge in F1 cars then.
Why? Literally, I cannot get past you. Your exits are way too good.
Apparently you're too good at driving.